Throughout this series, we've talked about some pretty crazy stories. Some good, some bad, some downright disgusting. The topic of today's video is another crazy story in the world of IndyCar racing. This story involves sponsorship withdrawal, motorsports crossovers, lawsuits, broken promises, shattered dreams, and hot sauce. Today, we talk about ISM Racing and the Tabasco fiasco. Welcome back to All IndyCar, the motorsports history show looking at the most interesting stories in American open-wheel racing. ISM Racing was founded by Lowell Gene Hancher, or for simplicity's sakes, Bob Hancher. He was born in Iowa, but would later move to Indiana, where he not only fell in love with racing, but also Gretchen Coleman, who he'd later marry. It's unclear how Bob got enough capital to start up a racing team in the first place, but regardless of that, ISM Racing would make their motorsports debut at the 1996-97 Indy Racing League season finale at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Jeff Ward would drive the Tabasco number 35 in conjunction with Sinden Racing Services. This debut wasn't the best, as Jeff Ward retired on lap 168 after his car overheated. So after making only one start in the Indy Racing League, ISM was back to taking the baby steps, as in 1998, the team would race full-time in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series and the Indy Racing League. The 1998 Indy Racing League season was pretty mixed, but overall wasn't that bad. Throughout the season, they ran only 3 cars. Jeff Ward full-time in the number 35 car, Jim Guthrie in the number 53 car, and lastly Steve Knapp in the number 55 car. Steve Knapp would make only one start with the team at the Indy 500, where the rookie would get a 3rd place finish and be the Indy 500 Rookie of the Year. For Jim Guthrie, he was originally meant to race full-time in 1998, but after failing to qualify at Walt Disney in Phoenix, things would get even worse at Indy, where he suffered serious injuries in a crash. Jeff Ward's season had mountain peaks with podiums at Walt Disney World, Charlotte, and Texas, but he also had some really deep valleys, including 5 DNFs. Despite the lows for the team, this rookie IndyCar season was solid. However, the NASCAR side of things were about as solid as Jell-O. Despite this being an IndyCar show, we need to discuss the NASCAR side of things, as this is where everything went down. Tabasco had gone all in with ISM Racing and their Cup Series driver Todd Bodine. They had multiple advertising campaigns, some really flashy paint schemes, and even a cookbook promoting Todd, ISM, Tabasco, NASCAR, and Pontiac. Despite this being the case, however well things looked on the outside, the team would soon collapse. In the first 9 races in the 1998 Winston Cup season, Todd Bodine and ISM Racing had failed to qualify on 5 separate occasions. The race at Auto Club would compound the team's misery, as after a practice crash, Todd Bodine wasn't cleared to race and Wally Dallenbach would step in for the Auto Club round. Bodine would continue to race with the team until he DNQ'd for the 8th time at Sonoma. After this, Bob Hancher had had enough and promptly fired Todd Bodine and replaced him with Gary Bradbury, all without telling Tabasco, let alone asking for their consent. It would be the next 2 races, however, that marked the beginning of the end. After another poor result at New Hampshire, the team switched to Chevrolets for the races at Watkins Glen and Indianapolis, and tapped Darrell Waltrip and Jimmy Horn for the drive. Once again, these choices were made without their sponsors' knowledge, and to say Tabasco was pissed would be an absolute understatement, but they still held on to the team. They had put millions into the sport, so they weren't going to back out yet. Besides, there isn't too much that the team could do to piss off their sponsor beyond this point, right? I mean, come on, it's not like the team owner will sell the team that you're the sole backer of midway through the season and not tell you again, right? Right? Well, that's exactly what happened when Hancher sold the entire operation to Tyler Jed Motorsports, who completed the season with the Tabasco sponsorship and Chevys. All of this had enraged Tabasco to the point where they left racing after that season and have yet to return. This was the death knell for ISM Racing, who was left sponsorless for their IndyCar program as a result. This sponsorship fallout had obliterated the team's future, and after a less than stellar first 7 races of the 1999 IRL season, the team had left IndyCar racing for good. Pretty much everyone involved with this cluck of a team would have their careers destroyed because of it. Bob Hancher would never involve himself with racing after this and was released from federal prison in June of 2021 after being convicted on a wide range of fraud charges in 2013. Tyler Beverly, the owner of Tyler Jet and Tyler Jet Motorsports, has been sentenced multiple times in the years since his exit from racing, the most recent of these being a March 2018 sentencing after filing filing fraudulent tax returns. The earliest he can be freed from this sentence is October of 2025. ISM had promised with a dedicated sponsor and some good drivers, but the team owner would lead to their demise. If it wasn't for Bob Hancher replacing his sponsor's star driver, changing the team to Chevrolets midway through the year, and then selling the team to another huckster, they could have had a good future. But there have been hundreds of promising careers that have ended just like this. It's just a part of racing.